Good afternoon, everybody who have joined us on this Dr. Fundi channel. Apologies for the late start. Technology gave us some few challenges, but we are in now, myself and my guest. My name is Fundi Lenyati. I'm the host of this channel. Today, by popular demand, we have invited Dr. Mthembeni Tebelele, aka Dr. Mpempe. Invited Dr. Tebelele to just, come in and just share with us, on his area of passion. He's a qualified medical doctor from WSU, medical school. He's been practicing medicine for quite some time, in the public sector, in the private sector. He's now based in Port Elizabeth. He does a lot of work, in his practice, which is largely focused on primary health care, issues of sexual and reproductive health, but also he is involved in the media space via his company, Apile Communications, where he is a content producer and also, a co-host on Kanya Griyazana, which is one of the shows, on the Mhlobo Wenene FM, but also he does work with another regional station through FM, and also he does some work on TV, on Mpuma TV, where he's got a show called Head to Toe, that again deals a lot with matters, of reproductive health, sexuality, and related matters. So today, being the day before, Valentine's Day, I thought it's appropriate that we should have Dr. Tebelele here, so that we can talk about, matters of the heart, issues of sexuality, issues of sex, issues of intimacy. So I hope everyone who's watching is an adult. This show today is not suitable for people who are under the age of 18. So if there is anybody, who's under the age of 18, please, today, they should not be part of this show. Because we are going to call a spade a spade. We're going to talk about, issues that are close to most people's hearts, So yeah, Dr. Tebelele, welcome to the Dr. Fundi channel.
Thank you, Dr. Nachi, and greetings to all the viewers of Dr. Fundi channel, and also all the followers in our pages, Apile Communications. It's a good afternoon to all lovers and people who are aspiring to be lovers. This is an afternoon to make a nice build-up to Valentines, and we hope we'll end some foodstuffs and some all the tools that people will need for this evening and for tomorrow, so that even the spark that was lost, we at least add some flavors. Thank you so much for hosting me once again.
Yeah, thank you, Doc. Thank you, Doc. I think just to kickstart this thing, man, tomorrow is Valentine's Day, right? Now, but we're going to get there. Your interest in the area of sexology and reproductive health, where does it come from? What made you, and I don't want us to go deep on it. I want us to get to the Valentine's part, but just the fact that of all the areas of medicine, this is one area where you are excelling. It's like we can wake you up at 2 a.m. and say, Doc, just talk about Mpempe, and you won't ask any questions. You'll just flow.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fundi. As a primary healthcare general practitioner, I deal with a lot of HIV and diabetes. And as you know, what complications of diabetes can be, erectile dysfunction is one key problem that happens in people who are miscontrolling or badly controlling their diabetes. So that interested me because I couldn't solve most of the problems people had with erectile dysfunction, and a lot of men were frustrated with this thing. It also frustrated me as a curious student. I'm a curious student.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of time reading about why is erectile dysfunction common in diabetics. And I found out that people with HbA1c that was 7.5 and above had a tendency of developing neuropathy.
Yes.
And neuropathy and poor blood flow to the penis and so on. Hence, they had erectile problems. And then I had a stint at Men's Clinic International in a quest to actually find out what all the solutions to erectile problems. That's what generated my interest. And I met a sexologist, actually, Dr. Preeti Ramlakhan, in one of the summer AGMs. And also, we were members of the Lily board. We met there. So I met the sexologist twice, and that generated interest in me. And then I got invited in some of the sexology courses. I even gave some talks in one of the seminars in Durban. Then, as you know, once you are in science, you become curious. Once you find out this, and then you get interested in more, what leads to this and what leads to that, and so on. So diabetes generated my interest, and then meeting a sexologist on the way. Then I invested a lot of energy and time on the online courses on sexology. And then I became a member of what is called African Society of Sexual Medicine, is ASIM. And then eventually became a member of International Society of Sexual Medicine through being inspired by Dr. Preeti and Professor Elna McIntosh. And they found that there's no one in the Eastern Cape. And Eastern Cape is actually known as a taboo zone when it comes to issues of sexual health. And then they even sparked more interest in me that we don't have someone with so much energy and passion in the Eastern Cape. Why don't you pursue this thing further? So that is how I got to invest a lot of energy on this thing, to pull people where they are weakest, and to talk about the issues that are not talked about, noting that a lot of people are suffering from HIV, which is predominantly sexually transmitted. A lot of people are harboring a lot of STIs, which is sexually related. A lot of people are confused about LGBTIs, lesbians, gays, bisexual, and so on. A lot of kids are committing suicide. A lot of kids are getting chased away from home because people don't understand issues of sexuality. So the more I got deeper, I found that sexology is not only about sex. It's a far deeper subject, and it's an international subject that they are specialists in. You see, Dr. Fundi, when I visualized the sexologist, I thought these people were going to tell us about styles and so on and so on. But I thought, no, why are these guys so decent? They are so professional and decent, and it's science. There's a lot of science behind it. It's not about sex. It's not that they're going to teach you positions and whatever. No, there's a lot of science into sexology, and also issues of sexual health in people living with disabilities, and understanding issues of gender, sexual orientation, the biology behind sex, and so on. That is what kept me curious, because I felt not only ordinary citizens do not know these things, but even professional people and even citizens that are literate in other subjects, they are actually found wanting when it comes to issues of sexuality.
Wow. Okay, so Doc, it's an area that you want to leave a legacy.
I would love to. You see, when I got a break to do some of these things, the fertility and reproductive sexual issues in Tumhlobo Wenene, I thought this is an area that I will have to leave a footprint on, because it's an uncharted territory. You know, leadership taught us you should create a path where there is none. So I thought this is an opportunity for me to actually create a path where there is none, so that I leave a legacy. I believe when I retire, maybe when I'm a professor or an old man, I'm going to write a lot of short books on some of these things, so that it's not only in my channel, it's not only in videos, but it's also written as a legacy, so that people have got a reference point, so that everyone has got a chance to refer, read, and redigest some of the things that were unspoken of. I've actually broken a lot of ground. I've unfrozen a lot of areas that were no-go zones, especially in Black communities. And in terms of parenting in the 21st century, I believe there's still a lot of work to be done, and I believe I'm going to leave a lot of legacy on this.
Beautiful, Doc, beautiful. So, Doc, you've already mentioned that for some reason, Black Africans seem to have a sense of discomfort, or issues of sex, sexuality, and other related matters are taboo subjects. What do you think is the reason? Why? Because siyayenza lento, but asifuna uthetha ngayo.
Thank you, Dr. Fundi. The main issue is upbringing. Indlela esikhuliswe ngayo, we are African children. Parents zethu ngabantu bobuntu, ngabantu who are secretive about sexual health, sexual issues. Izinto ze-sex izinto that you couldn't even sit down with your dad. Even when you get married, your dad couldn't sit down akuxelela into yoba jonga kwi-sex uzayenza ngolu hlobo mfana wam, okanye ntombi yam uyatshata ngoku i-sex uzayenza ngolu hlobo. I mean, nobody gives you a lesson, but they expect you to have kids. It's like if you are a learner driver, they expect you by sitting on the passenger seat, you're gonna look. But unfortunately, when it comes to sex, you don't even have a chance to look at your father doing it, or to look at your mother doing it. I don't know whether they think you are going to smell it. You guess, it's guesswork. You have to keep guessing until you produce a kid. They don't know how you are going to produce a kid. Nobody's going to sit you down and say, Jonga, uzayifaka ekushesheni ngolu hlobo. This is how you are going to make a kid. Somehow, there's pressure that you must produce kids. I don't know where they think you are going to get the information from. That is where the problem is. It's an unspoken of thing. That you are lectured on. You have to thumb suck until you get it right. And the unfortunate part is that the information you think it's right. You know sex from nowhere. From nowhere. You think you know best. And nobody's going to come and give you corrections, or after doing it for the first time and say, Jonga, awenzanga right pa, wenze right pa. Ayikho feedback.
No, but kuthiwa mos abangoku abantu ba-empowered, they give you feedback instantly. Ubamfundini ungikhathile.
That is the partners. I'm talking about parents.
Okay.
Our parents, now we are under pressure because our partners, they give us a lot of feedback. There's a lot of expectations, which is why Valentines can create a lot of pressure. Even someone on Mpempe ngaphakamiyo okanye Mpempe ngasebenzi kakhulu okanye ekhupha kwangoko, we expected ngoba at least namhlanje is a peak day. It's like Christmas of sex, or Christmas of intimacy, and Christmas of high performance. So the expectations are high, but as to are you going to perform or not? Some people are actually suffering from what is called a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear of failure, and it may actually lead to erectile dysfunction, very collapse when it is expected to perform highly. So that is the kind of situation. And kengoku awunokwazi noyoxela utata bayitata kangiphakama izolo okanye mama kangiphakama izolo. Uyayibona loo nto? But the problem now is that women are so liberated, women are so vocal, they know what they want, and if you give less of what is expected, then the relationship is likely to take a strain. They may be quiet the first time, they may be quiet for the second time, but they may not forgive you for the third time. You just need to deliver, because they will tell you, Ndoba, Buti, okanye sisi nathi mhlambi, we need to do the same thing, but this is not on. You just need to do the right thing. So that is how life is.
And by the way, nowadays we are inclusive. So sometimes it's Puti and Puti, or Sisi and Sisi.
Thank you so much for highlighting that. Sexuality is quite deep. Without being discriminative, there are people who are lesbians, and we accommodate them, especially in the field of sexuality. We don't discriminate against anyone. There are men who sleep with men, MSM. They are not necessarily gay. There are men who sleep with men who are not openly or necessarily gay, but they do have sex with men. And there are men who are actually gay. Those are issues that speak to how deep sexuality goes.
Yes.
And we're accommodating. When we make examples of heterosexual couples, it's just for the sake of the discussion. Otherwise, we do accommodate all people, irrespective of their sexual orientation, irrespective of their gender, and irrespective of being intersex or queer. It's accommodative.
Beautiful, beautiful talk. So let's now get back then to the fact that tomorrow it's Valentine's Day. Now, I tried reading about the history of this thing. It's very, very confusing. There's different stories about how this St. Valentine's Day, came about. Now, as people in South Africa, is it really relevant, to actually celebrate this day? I know it's a very big day amongst lovers everywhere else in the world, but from a, South African context, do you think it's really, really relevant? Should we be celebrating this? I'm starting with that question. Maybe a follow-up question in the context of COVID. And the fact that money has been tight and there's expectation for gifts and everything that go with Valentine's Day. Do you think it should the expectations should be lowered? So 2 questions.
Dr. Fundi, thank you very much for the questions. Firstly, irrespective of how Valentine's started and the background and whatever, but we need to celebrate love. Let us celebrate love and intimacy, and let us not only focus on celebrating it on Valentine's Day, but it just should serve as a reminder that love is something that needs to be celebrated. Love is something that needs to be enjoyed. Intimacy, sometimes we get used to things and we get used to our spouses and our partners. So uqhelile ngokwapha ngawuvuselele neqabane lakho liyakhumbuzeka into yoba kulanda ubusowuyekelele kuyo vuselela. So we need to celebrate love irrespective of whether it is Valentine's Day or not. So it's not about how it originated, but the concept behind it. Same as Christmas. Jesus Christ was not necessarily born on Christmas Day, but we commemorate it irrespective of the actual date. Forget about the details, but celebrate it by actually doing the right thing. Let's celebrate love. Let us plant intimacy. Let us revive the spark in our relationships and in our marriage. Then when it comes to the second part of the question, the fact that abantu baluze imisebenzi, abanye basikelwe salaries zabantu zikhathiwe, earning what they're supposed to be earning. Then it comes to how materialistic we have become in our marriages or in our relationships. Then maturity comes in. People shouldn't expect a lot in terms of materials. Abanye bafuna uthengelwa amatayari, abanye bafuna uthengelwa flowers, abanye bafuna perfumes, because of maybe a trend yezinto ebezisenzeka ngayo. But it is time. COVID is going to teach us a lesson into irrespective of the presence or absence of materials, is there genuine love between you and your spouse? So even if I call it is time to show into I love you, I care about you, I adore you. Just the words only. Just the words only, irrespective of the material. There are positive things that starts out of suffering with COVID. Intoba noba asinazo izinto eziphathekayo ezandleni, we can still love with our hearts. Sisenoza ngenhliziyo zethu sithi siyathanda, we appreciate, we adore. Noba asinanto ezandleni, igolide nesilivere ayizusoloko ikho, but inhliziyo zethu nothando sinako uziexpressa kangangoko sinako. And it goes on to teach you, even if your spouse can lose umsebenzi wakhe, isidima sakhe sentoba ungutata welikhaya, uluze umsebenzi bekade sebenza ibila apha kufuneka ndimthandile, okanye umama lapha was earning more now, enele okanye akasasebenzi, akazuluza ivalue kuba ngoku engasasebenzi, okanye utata lapho kuba ngoku engaseyo la provider wayeyiyo, then ngenxa ye-COVID, then akasakwazi uzisa presence wayeza ngazo. Live on love and intimacy, genuine love. Genuine love is not built on materials.
Yes.
So when it comes to issues of sex, the actual intimacy, COVID has actually taught us lessons. We've got a duty to protect our spouses. We cannot do things the same way we're doing as if there is no COVID.
Just there. You know, there's this book that talks about the 5 love languages. I'm not sure if you've come across it. You know, words of affirmation is one love language, physical touch being another love language, receiving gifts is another love language, quality time, another love language, and the 5th one, acts of service. Now, so from this one then already sees that how people express love, you know, is different, you know. You know, so now I'm worried about those ones then who, as part of their love languages, received of gifts. It's a big thing, you know. And now not receiving gifts because of the context that we are in, they may actually take this as something that you know, that means maybe the level of love has gone down, you know, even if one can do the other 4, you know, words of affirmation, physical touch, quality time, and all of that. But anyway, so I thought, let me just bring that, you know, to say other people may not necessarily have a problem with not receiving gifts, you know, but there are those who, to talk to them the love language, you must talk gifts.
Thank you very much for raising that. There's a lot. It's a packed comment. The book Five Love Languages is written by Gary Chapman. I'm a passionate reader. Yes. I have it on my hand actually. It's behind my PC. I read it a lot because I talk in a lot of seminars. So I spend a lot of time reading a lot of these books. If abantu place, in fact, it's 5 pillars. You've listed 5 pillars. So it means umtshato okanye relationship awunayeka collapse just because one pillar is not taken care of ngenxa ye temporary situation esikuyo. Uba ufumananga gift ngoku awunawuqumba uthi hayi ke ngoku i-love language yam ayineswanga because umuntu wam akandithengelanga gift, kucaba all the other 4 pillars, i-affirmation, i-physical presence ne-touch azibali kuba i-gift ingekho. That would be placing too much pressure on your partner or your spouse. So i-pillar A1 if you're separation ungayi-alerta nje into yoba mntu wam ndiyayi-understanda into yoba sibethakele phaya kulaa mlenze siyaqhwalela apha, asimanga ngomlenze oyi-1, ziyi-5 ezi languages. As much as ndiyazi into yoba ilanguage yakho ophila ngayo yile gifts uze ubonakalise uthando nento yoba ubonile into yoba uyathandwa, but ke ngoku imeko esikuyo ithi andizukwazi ukunika igift, mhlawumbi nawe awuzukwazi. Nale nto gift, Dr. Fundi, it can't be a one-way thing. It's a two-way process. What you do is what is supposed to be done also to you. Even in matters of sex, what is done to you is supposed to be what you also do. You receive what you give.
Yeah.
So now we issue a gift. So babi nemosilapa, communication becomes very important. Akazugothuka umuntu kayifumana igift othuka into yoba kutheni uswethi engendithengelanga gift. Uyibonile mos imeko sikuyo and siyacommunicate sobabini bayi imeko esikuyo nempilo esikuyo ye-COVID, isimo somnotho asikho right, andinawukwazi yokuthengela ezaa nto ndidla ngokuthengela zona. Okuncane kamnandi ii-partners zethu ngabantu aba-appreciatayo. Into ebalulekileyo, are you doing this with your heart? So i-affirmation ke ngoku is not something you can do on one day. U-affirma is to keep on saying. Umzekelo uba uzomane usithi, baby I love you, baby I love you. The more you say that, the more you visualize that, the more you keep on saying, the more it sinks. That is affirmation.
Yes.
There are people who live and thrive on that. So
Yes.
you can be good at giving gifts to an extent ndoba umenze umuntu wakho abe addicted to gifts or too materialistic or emotionally relationship, because all the other pillars are ignored. All the other languages are totally ignored. Physically, you are not there. You are not there. Kufana nobuya nomthwalo omninzi emsebenzini ufike ngokukhoyo uhleli nomuntu wakho ungavakala uba ukhona. Mhlawumbe uzafika ucofa ifoni okanye upress ikhompyutha yakho kude kuyolalwa, then uyomvusa ebusuku sosithi uyafana noba awukho mos. Physically you are not there. And ke ngoku uzawubhuda into ezininzi because i-love language mhlawumbe or understand. That is why it is important to read into yoba what does it mean to be physically present.
Now, Doc, you've been talking about intimacy, you've been talking about sex, you've been talking about love. Can you just differentiate these things, these concepts? You know, can you be intimate without being, you know, a sexual? You know, just before we get to the issues of tomorrow.
Thank you so much. That's a very important distinction. In fact, let me add a third leg there: sex, love, and intimacy.
Yeah.
Sex is the physical act of doing it. Kungenana, udibana kwekusheshe nempempe, and then there's physical activity.
Yeah.
That is sex. Then love can be expressed in many ways through the languages that we've actually mentioned. So it means I'll rely on one to show and express love. You can use the various languages, baby ndiyakutanda, sweet ndiyakutanda, and so on. And then intimacy is even broader. Intimacy is physical, intimacy is spiritual, intimacy is psychological. It means umtanda umtu at various levels and in various ways. And there may be no sex, but intimately, nibe level higher, top gear in terms of intimacy. It can involve kissing, it can involve hugging, it can involve sharing activities and hobbies. That is intimacy. It's a connection, the connection between you and the partner yako. And sex would actually occupy a peripheral agenda. That is intimacy. So intimacy involves a lot of connection and bonding between the two of you. Yeah.
Yes. Lovely, lovely. Okay, so at least now you've helped me understand a few things, Doc. Right.
So
now,
it means noba impempe ayisebenzi, you can be as intimate as 100%. Ibe impempe mhlambi yafa ingasebenzi. Mhlambi ulimele waphela wheelchair bound. Impempe ayisaphakami, or you got short spinal cord sonakala, impempe ayasebenza, okanye usisi walimala, then isinqa siphele singasebenzi. You can be as intimate as anyone. Meaning sex ayikho apho, but intimacy iyaqhubeka. Uyaqhubeka ngendlela zonke zobonakalisa uthando noncamathelana without having sex.
Beautiful. Now, some people, when they think about this Valentine's Day and issues of intimacy or sex or they are conflicted, especially those who are quite religious. They think that maybe indaba zocansi, matters of intimacy and sex, there are things that should not be done because maybe if I play now I came across a verse Doc,
yeah.
1 John 4 from 7 to verse 7 to 12. Dear friends, let us love one another, for love comes from God. Everyone who loves has been born of God and knows God. Whoever does not love does not know God, because God is love. So we did him just to bring in people to know that the matters we're talking about are actually blessed by the men above,
Uyabona ke xa uthetha ngothando lukaThixo, you need to differentiate. Kukhona indlela zothando zininzi, especially when you come to the Bible. Kukhona laa nto kuthiwa yi-brotherly love.
Yes.
Ube khona uthando olu-romantic.
Yes.
iBhayibhile ixesha elininzi ke ayithethi ngoluthando olu-romantic. Abantu bangathanda uyama. Uthando olu-romantic, of course, uThixo akakho gwenxa kulo, because eventually umtshato yinto kaThixo. Umtshato is of God. It's of God. The Genesis is very clear there. But when it comes to having sex, then iBhayibhile ke ngoyiba ne-rules. I-constitution yethu into yoba i-marriage becomes very important. Into yoba uyinikiwe na i-license yoba ungahamba uyokwenza i-sex. So that is where things need to be emphasized. Into yoba you need to have at least i-license. Into yoba hayi unelungelo lwena lokwabelana. Then kulapho ke ngonosebenzisa nezivesi zikaPawulos into yoba noko i-authority uThixo ukunikile into yoba itempile yenkosikazi yakho ibhilonga kuwe, nomzimba lo wakho ubhilonga enkosikazini yakho. Ninikene imvume nomfundisi wayiphethelela le nto njengomntu ayinonto enguThixo. So uthando lukaThixo asinalukhompetisha ne-romantic love. uThixo uyasithanda sisonke, and uthandana kwethu ku-romantic. Yeah, singaqhubeka nothando, but ke ngoku within marriage is even more blessed and is of God xa nitshatile.
All right, Doc, I just want to say to anyone who is watching, who would like to ask a question or who would like to comment on the topic here to namhlanje, they must feel free to send, comments, via, Facebook or even YouTube, or, even on WhatsApp, 083 391 4106, 083 391 4106. Will be able to read those, because it must not just be nje uthetha kwam nawe. People have got questions. This is a subject that not many people are open to talk about, but given a platform like this one, that's not going to judge people. It's important that we help each other on some of these issues. So please, if you are watching, send a comment on Facebook, on YouTube, or even on the WhatsApp number that I gave you. There is a comment here that says lol at Mpempe ingasebenzi. That means a long duration of intimacy to ignore such. Even in new love, lack of sex can't really be ignored unless one is creative. So I think it's sort of talking to what you said earlier, that sex is an important part of love, but it's not necessarily the only thing, but it's an important part. Yeah.
Can I be honest with you? Sex is a very crucial pillar of marriage and of love. It's a very crucial pillar, to be honest with you. Hence, I even say, when I speak to abafundisi bakwalizwi, especially those who invest a lot of energy in marriage, you cannot be a marriage counselor. You cannot unite people in marriage ube une knowledge encinci okanye engekhoyo when it comes to issues of sex. The reason abantu bethuma unozakuzaku uba kuyocelwa le ntombi izotshatela ekhapha, but they're just out of respect into yoba engabangela uba bathi xa befika phaa kulaa mzi bangathi sizocela lo sisi walapha azokwenza sex nonyana wethu. Otherwise, that is the core message. Uyothathwa lo sisi uzocela ubazaleni into yoba officially azokwenza sex nonyana wethu kweli khaya, then for two reasons, for reproduction and also for pleasure. That is the essence of the message. Kukhutshwa amadoda ane-overall namadolo axoliweyo into yoba ayocelela unyana lapha intombi kwela cala for one main reason. Akawuthathelwa lo sisi into yoba azoklina izitya apha, akawuthathelwa into yoba azo-ayina. Yibonus leyo. The main reason is actually sex. And ke ngoku, if that pillar is not taken care of okanye is ignored, then things will collapse. And ukolapsa kwezinto akuzubiziswa nozakuzaku. Awuzukwazi lo sisi ubizwa nozakuzaku uba hey, hayi utata lapho uyandirobha okanye akayenzi le nto ndandothathela yona ekhaya. Kuzawubikwa yonke into around, because kunezwe isidima ne-ego. Akuzumenshina into yoba hayi kukho indlala ekhapha okanye impempe yalapha ayiphakami, okanye utata lapha uchama kwangoko, zonke ezo zinto. And a lot of people are suffering from that, and they are treated as issues as a taboo. They are treated as issues as a secret, but they are killing a lot of marriages silently. lack of sex.
Mm.
That is a very crucial
With lack of sex
and
or with lack of quality sex?
You are taking it further. Kukhona lack of sex, bonus lack of quality sex. Because if people don't understand into yoba sex is a physiological need.
Yeah.
Is a physiological need. Ayonto yamathamba. Ayonto unoyenza xa ucacile. Especially if you are married, it's a job description. You've got a duty to give it. Ayinanto into yoba usemodini namhlanje uba iyafunwa. You just need to give it and give it diligently.
And this applies both ways, eh?
Both spouses. Iqabane lakho lineduty loba likunike, nawe uneduty yoba ulinike, and then ubuze ke ngoku after ulinikile into yoba ufumene enough, ufumane iscore sakho into yoba wenze ngokwaneleyo na. And if ayenzeki loo nto leyo le gear ubuthetha ngayo ke ngoye-quality, uba mhlawumbi ubhuti ushiye kwangoko okanye usisi uthe washiya ubhuti endleleni engafikanga, then kulapho ke ngoye-quality will come in. And that is where the issue of knowledge will come in. Into yoba how much does this person know? Uyamazi into yoba umntu wakho ufikelele kuvuthondaba, uyamazi uba umntu wakho umshiye ndawoni, and then what are you going to do to make sure into yoba la shortfall yenzekileyo uyayigcwalisa? Ushiye ibhekile hafini, uzayigcwalisa njani na? Ubonile into yoba ube weak phi, so that ungacontinue, because once a weakness is left unattended, then it becomes a chronic illness. And then one thing leads to another. Eventually, it will lead to a split. So equality is very, very important. And noting in Doba, women are wired a little bit different from men. Men are more physical. Because a lot of languages, so men are more into physical touch, and women are more emotional beings. So it means when you start sex with a woman, it means it begins in the brain. You prepare them mentally before it becomes physical. So a lot of people need to understand that if you are abazali bethu kudala, it was more of a physical act. So utata ucingile into yoba namhlanje ndifuna ukuwela iziko, mabani majola zawucela unyose imibhaco, then kuqhutywe. The issue of readiness, foreplay, the importance of foreplay, especially we're talking Valentine, if foreplay becomes very important, the build up, so that juices down there, ready mentally, the mood is set up and so on. So there's preparation, so that the aim is not to induce or cause pain. It is to give pleasure and then receive pleasure. So in preparation, there's a lot of energy and preparation that is put into a foreplay. Because you've got a duty. It's a duty to satisfy your partner.
So you are basically saying, Doc, us talking about this matter now is actually important, because if somebody is planning to have action tomorrow, Valentine's Day, they must start, preparing their partners and doing those things that will make sure that there's positivity and looking forward to the action tomorrow.
It's never late, Dr. Fundi, to mend your ways. If you've been doing into less than what you are saying, then it is time to actually correct. That is why Valentines, whether we believe in them or not, but we celebrate love, irrespective of Tebelele day or Fundi day. You may call it your day, call it after your spouse. Just call it whatever, but namhlanje sawuvuselela uthando apha endlini. So it's important to understand the concept behind is to celebrate love, so that you reintroduce the spark in your relationship and also make sure intoba you fulfill the mandate. Umntana abantu angahlali apha uzomtyisa ngendlala, okanye all along enyamezele into ephela phakathi engakwazi uyithetha, because some people die in silence, bafale endlaleni in silence, engakwazi uyiraise into webhuti uchama kwangoko Fundini ibatyokolele nto once ingene iyafa. So it means you've got erectile dysfunction once iqhubeke nokwenzeka loo nto leyo. The unfortunate thing with men is that iba obvious xa ungafumani erection, because this thing must stand up ibonakale. Kanti women can actually find yourself on the way. Angakwazi uqala mhlawumbe engekho segiyeni then akufumane endleleni. But it is important to place a lot of energy on preparation to make sure that we are both there. So into the quality time, investing on quality time. Ungathi gqi ngexesha sofuna then emva koko sithele. Quality time, which is another love language. Hence in the city, it's not only a question of being present, but also your presence must be felt.
Yes.
Yeah. So if flowers nento zibonus ezo, even if umntu i-love language yakhe into makafumane gifts and so on, if the other pillars are well taken care of, they also cover the other. Remember, xa i-sex fulfilling, kukho i-hormones that people release, i-hormones of happiness, i-endorphins, i-oxytocin, i-prolactin. Those are hormones of bonding. Those are hormones of euphoria. Those are hormones of happiness. So the release as a hormone. So kunqabile into yoba i-conflict ibe lula xa abantu be-sexually fulfilling to each other. Once kubekho indlala, kubakho uchuku because umntu segade anything eza kwenza impumlo soloko iphezulu igade nje yoba makubekho into because i-hormones of happiness azikhutshwa. This reminds me of Utata Mlangeni. There was a dinner that Utata Mlangeni, he agreed with his wife into about they are going to have it at least 3 times a week. I mean, people should come to an agreement. If frequency is very important and sex benefits, you will look younger, you will look healthy, you will always be in good mood. Uzasoloko une-energy, as bone bouncers soloko zingathi ready for ukulwa because the endorphins are always high. So even fulfilling sexual activity will also lead to that. Kanti umntu who's sexually starved usoloko nje akakhozi nje uchuku apha endlini, ukhoza uchuku nakwindawo aya kuyo, nakwindawo ibhosi kuyo uba mayilambile le straight.
Doc, tell me, remember we're talking Valentines, so there could be relationships that are starting tomorrow, will be my Valentine. So now, how important really is getting to know what switches on your partner, getting to know, I want it this way, I want it that way. If you kiss me on the ear or kiss me on the big toe, or that, how important is that? Because I want us to get to the arousal cycle, to the whole sexual cycle, just to take people through to understand there are stages, that you go through from to actually doing it to which is the climax. I want us to talk about that because sometimes people don't understand that there are those stages, and sometimes between a male and a female, we're using that just because that's the majority of people. Sometimes if you don't understand, those things, it could actually lead to situations.
Dr. Fundi, there is something that people must understand. There's a map that we use where city sexual response cycle.
Yes.
It's a nice map for everyone to understand so that umntu xa ingena kulo mcimbi angene yazi into yoba ngoku ndikweyiphi indawo, ndindawoni ngoku. Once uzazi into yoba undawoni awunawulahleka nasenkungwini, and then once uzibona uba undawoni, i-leadership teaches you. Once you are able to lead yourself, then it becomes easier for you to lead another person. Once ukwazi uzilocate uba undawoni, phaya kwi-foot ye-sexual response cycle lapha ekuqaleni sinento esithi yi-arousal ne-libido. I-arousal ithetha ukuphakama kwempempe okanye ukuphakama kwembotyi. That is when the clit rises. Abanye abantu ba-understand into yoba a woman gets aroused equally to a man. Uba on umntu ongusisi njengobana umntu ongubhoti esiba on. Qha umahluko into yoba ekabhoti iba more prominent. Then i-arousal leyo uphakama kwamakhuba okanye uphakama kwempempe. Impempe iyaphakama na. Into eziphakamisa impempe ke zento sithi zi-senses. Ilihlo liyabona libona okay, liphikisha usisi walapho uyandifuna okanye iqabane lam liyandifuna, le ndlela anxibe ngayo, the way emane ndijonga ngayo. So ilihlo once libone laa nto lithumele isignal. Lithumele isignal through the spinal cord iye empempeni. Then impempe ijampe. Ujampa kwempempe, there will be a gush of blood. Kuzawuyigazi igazi libaleka empempeni. So i-reaction ibangelwa kubaleka kwegazi liya empempeni ngenxaba ilihlo lithethe nengqondo, then ingqondo yatolika lo mbono iwubonayo, then impempe iphakame. If for some reason, whether for health reason or whatever, impempe ingaphakami, then it means there's a disconnect. Okanye ikhona into ephinde yaphazama. Masenze umzekelo. Sithi mhlawumbe ubone le nto ubucimba isignal ebonakala into yoba ngathi uyafuna namhlanje. So ilihlo libone, ingqondo itolike, ithumele isignal. Then ase lo sisi okanye leli qabane lakho ubomba hayi ufrawnile actually kuthe kanti akandifuni. Then ilihlo liyawuphinde libone hayi actually lo muntu undijamele kakubi, it's not like uyandifuna. Then iyawuphinde itoleke ingqondo bayawufuna. Then impempe izawukhawuleza ifumane ucingo luvela engqondweni ithi 6:30 ihle.
Yes.
So
Yes.
actually the control center ilapha engqondweni. So the focus yabantu le nto kuthiwa abantu ba-follocentric leyo jonga empempeni into yoba hamani inoba ndinengxaki apha empempeni. Actually the problem may not be there empempeni, isenoba khona but ixesha elininzi it could be in the brain phaya ku-engine.
Which is why
leyo.
Is that the reason why they say the biggest and the most important sexual organ is the one that's between the ears?
Exactly. That is perfect. For both partners, what is between the ears is what is controlling, and a lot of people don't understand that concept. If ingqondo yakho ayikho kule nto, then impempa izubakho kuloo nto. Iza kunika mhlawumbi elaa themba loba izawuqhuba, but if the brain is not there, then it's going to collapse on the way, which is why mental health becomes pivotal.
Yes. You mentioned
something.
Yes, Doc. You mentioned, I mean, a little bit of anatomy that you spoke about. The fact that, obviously males have got the penis, right? And then the females, they've got a clitoris. But actually, it's just a mini penis, because if you go back to its development, they develop the same way. But then at a certain point, once the female hormones dominate in that child, then it stops growing. The labia, imilebe, if you are a male, the penis will grow, and what is imilebe becomes the scrotum.
Exactly.
Yes, the point I'm trying to say is that both males and females have got impempe. It's just that
very critical.
One it's a mini impempe, the other one is a big impempe. Which you then call it you call it what?
Yeah.
Yes.
Clit.
Yes. So I think people need to know, because there's an important thing about that, is that it's a highly sensitive part of their external genitalia.
That is very important, Dr. Fundi. Actually, if you look at the anatomy, what is the clitoris in a woman is what is the glans in the man. So actually, the pure or the correct name for a clitoris is glans clitoris. Remember, a glans penis, kubeko a glans clitoris. If you speak anatomy now, to show you that the head in the female is actually the head in the male, which is why it is important for partners to understand about the feeling you get clitoris, when someone is licking your clitoris, is the same feeling that the other partner gets when you touch or when you lick the glans penis.
Yes.
So it's very important. But in a woman, it's a little bit embedded. When kandi umdongo is more prominent.
Yes. Yes. No. I hear you, Doc. So we've dispensed both sexes, both have got this thing. One is small, embedded. One is big, right? Doc, they also talk about something called the G-spot. Can you just touch on that? We are still talking the sexual response cycle, but I thought let's just deal with these things as we are going, because we want people to go tomorrow and actually look. So many people don't even know where a clitoris is, in their partners.
That is very true. And you know what causes that? Is because I mean, if we were to wake up our ancestors, how does this thing look? Because and nobody knew, which is why we are promoting now transparency. mayehlukana abantu nokukhulela phansi kwengubo kugqawila nto kapha kujule izinto pha. You may find that someone has got an STI. It's important to be transparent and also ukhulele emhlotsheni uyazi the structure of le nto uzawudilishana now. Know your menu. So talking about G-spot, people should know that the clitoris in a woman is the most sensitive because ubuxhakaxhaka obuninzi bepha clitoris. In nerves, there's about 8,000 nerves. Sesona structures nobuxhakaxhaka obuninzi is sensitive, but ubusensitive bayo isenoba buhlungu xa ucaba ubhizi nayo kakhulu. Afunekanga uba bekuthiwe ngena ngalo mnyango sozungene ngawo oko okanye ube dlakadlaka. You need to handle it with sensitivity. And then G-spot is on the anterior vaginal wall. It's called donga lungaphambili kwi-vagina, only about 1.5 centimeters.
Doc, me and you, we've done anatomy. So these things come natural to us. But, you know, people think the whole thing is the vagina, you see? And the vagina is just one part below the clitoris. Yeah, that part that goes inside. But the whole thing is called a vulva, you know, with different parts. So I think it's important that we clarify those things because we want people to go and touch the right places. So as we are now saying, it's the thing on the anterior wall of the vagina. Other people don't know what the vagina is doing. They think the whole thing is the vagina. So,
man, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Especially noting that we're doing community education. Let me lebe lapha ngaphandle. Khole mi lebe lapha ngaphandle sithi okanye is major lips. Major lips. Then kubekho le micwe lapha ngaphakathi or the inside lips. We call them minor lips or labia minora. Iskhepe esi lento uyithi vulva. Then after that kulandele isigqubuthelo or what we would call prepuce. Females often have got prepuce. We call it the clitoral hood. Clitoris inesigqubuthelo, so kulandele clitoral hood, then emva koko kulandele clitoris. That is imbotyi igqumekile. People must know. So that is the outside, which we call the vulva. Then kubekho ke ngoku lo mngxonya wochama apha kusisi useparate from lo mngxonya wochama, I mean lo mngxonya uyivagina. So i-urethra umngxonya wochama, then ezantsi koko kulandele ke ngoku ivagina. Ivagina yi-tube okanye cylinder connected the outside vulva to isingxobo esobeleka, isibeleko. Nanso ivagina. So ivagina inendonga ezine. Inoludonga lungaphambili, that is the anterior wall. Ibe ne right and left wall. Then ibe nodonga lungasemva or the posterior wall. So it's a tube that is about 7 to 12 centimeters. And also it's good that we are there because some people, I mean, imagine a man who's got who's seeking. There are people who are moving up and down seeking penis enlargement. Maybe they need 24 centimeters. They don't even know maybe that a vagina is only 7 to 12 centimeters in terms of average. And also they don't know where the G-spot is. And is zones that matter. You spoke about erogenous zones. It's very important to locate erogenous zones and over what actually makes your partner to tickle. Now, I think we're orientating people. We're talking sense and the anatomy is actually simplified. People know they won't actually be lost. Tonight, and people won't be shy. And even men and women or partners, irrespective of their sexuality, they won't be shy to actually show into. For me to actually take them, they are pegged with more nerves. If erogenous zone in so people are wired differently. The more you discover about your partner, the more you'll be able to fulfill the mandate. Aim is to fulfill each other and to satisfy each other so that abantu bangalaqazi. Then once we do that, we'll be able to break the chains of HIV transmission. We'll be able to break the chains of STI transmission.
Yes, Doc. Now, there's just a few comments here, Doc. What about self-pleasure for those without partners? We've been talking about, you know, you and your partner. So here, this person is basically saying not everybody has got a partner, but the physiological needs don't wait for you to have a partner. So the issue of self-pleasure as part of, releasing that sexual tension?
The issue of satisfier by yourself, it depends on the person. As a scholar and as someone with interest in sexual medicine, there is nothing wrong with masturbation. There is nothing wrong with masturbation because people discover themselves through masturbation. Le nto kuthiwa yi-self-discovery. Ubone into yoba xa ndizibambe endlebeni, xa ndizibambe empumlweni, then I get aroused. And then once I touch myself, then I feel pleasure. But the problem with masturbation is that it can be addictive. What I usually advise people, as someone who sees a lot of couples and who talk in so many seminars, I say, once you discover into yoba, okay, xa ndizibambe kwi-clit, kwi-angle ethile mhlambi on the upper outer quadrant or on the lower outer quadrant ye-clitoris, then I get to reach orgasm quickly. What is important is to unpack that information to your partner. Once you withhold that information, it means you are going to render your partner useless. Uzawuphelelwa ngumsebenzi, uzawuretrenchwa slowly umuntu obefanele uba wenza loo nto, because awumxelelanga, you didn't tell the person into this is what actually makes me rich. So there's nothing wrong with doing masturbation, but importantly, know that in a potential of being addictive. And the pain of that is that a lot of people are engaging in masturbation, but they're doing it behind closed doors. And they think it over linear, it's embarrassing and whatever. But a lot of people, even if you look at studies, a lot of people are engaging in masturbation, but they're doing it secretly as if yinto embarrassayo okanye yinto elinyala. There's nothing wrong with it. And those are the people who end up being addicted. And ipartner uzathi umuntu sayifumene ingamenelisi ahamba uzigqibezela ebathroom. There is something I even posted on my page on Facebook, where a partner found ipartner yakhe izigqibezela ebathroom uyozifikelelisa kuvuthondaba, is because people don't understand. You can even masturbate in front of your partner, abukele, abone ngoba this is how you do yourself. So there's nothing wrong with self-discovery and self-satisfaction. Okay. But again, don't make the other partner irrelevant. Be open about it. Be open about it. It's part of sexuality. And actually, it's important to also understand in Doba, umcimbi erection, since we're talking arousal, it can be psychogenic. It means it can come from thinking, sexual thoughts in your brain. They can actually lead to arousal, or it can be physical or reflexogenic. That is a sense of touch around your genitals or your erogenous zones. Then upele upaganyel. So it's two ways.
Yes.
So you can be aroused just by thinking.
Yes. Now, I think whilst we're talking about the self-pleasure part, maybe we might as well just bring in the issue of toys. You know, the role of sex toys. As part of self-pleasure or for pleasuring, your partner.
Umcimbi with sex toys is something that maybe our communities, let me say men are a bit threatened by Ilandoka, some of the sex toys. And then as a result, a lot of female partners, they end up having or owning as toys secretly. Without knowing into yoba iyayexista, iyamane isetyenziswa xa engekho ubhoti loyikayo, okanye iyamane isetyenziswa secretly at certain venues. But one thing I would advise, people should be open and actually discuss umcimbi of introducing even sex toys emtshatweni okanye kwi-relationship. Then life would be much, much easier, because a lot of women do not reach orgasm. And amadoda amaninzi are phallocentric. They think the penis is everything, which is why it is important to understand the use of all others, the use of tongue, the use of fingers, the use of eyes, communication, listening, and so on. That is intimacy as a whole package, because you know that sex is not only physical, and we are not reliant or too reliant on the penis. Toys are more than welcome, because if vibrators, people should know what a dildo is, what a vibrator is, what a clitoral stimulator is. Zonke ezo zinto iwazi ukhona unodoli abakhoyo angathi bazawude bazofika nalapha, bawuthi babofika unodoli kwaba kuba impela, because umuntu avela azithathela unodoli wakhe ahlala endlini ngosizalibele ukukhuza into i-vibrators into ezincinci, kukho unodoli ngoku.
Yeah. Now, another question,
So-
Doc. Yeah.
People should be open about the sex toys, and actually it would even be more. Mnage as a life coach, I think I'm free about these things. I go with my wife to an adult shop, which go and explore, not only for ourselves, even to empower our sessions Z, so that we must be updated on what is new in the market. How does it work? Penis rings. Penis rings, they stimulate ilantuka, clitoris, they vibrate on the penis, they even if bekunzima mhlawumbe ufikelela kwi-orgasm, you can find that with introduction of a sex toy, you find that life becomes even easier, noting that women are not an easy species to reach orgasm.
Yes. Now, there's a question here. There's a question here that says, kindly explain the necessity of foreplay without penetration, the need to learn to pleasure one another without the actual vaginal penetration. Of course, not ignoring the LGBT plus group.
Can you come again?
It kindly explain the necessity of foreplay without penetration. I think it's touching to that issue of phallocentric. He says the need to pleasure one another without the actual penetration. Of course, not ignoring the LGBTI group.
Thank you so much. You know, when we were training for HIV, there was a concept called body sex.
Yes.
Where we were teaching people that there are many ways of having sex without penetrating each other, which was safer, so that you don't spill sperms or spill sexual fluids on each other to prevent transmission. So umcimbi of having sex does not literally mean penetration. You can have sex and satisfy each other by touching, or having body sex and oral sex and many other things without even penetrating each other. That's very important.
Right. Okay, Doc. So we were still on the first stage here. It was about the arousal, stage. The desire and arousal. Yeah. Can you take us to the next stage?
Arousal, and then, still on the foot, arousal is coupled with libido. A person can have arousal but have no interest. Libido is interest to have sex. For you to have interest to have sex, you must have a hormone called testosterone. It's present in men and women, but ebantwini ababhinqileyo is present in small quantities, and then kotata is present in high quantities. So it means otata, they are expected to have high interest because testosterone is higher. So if there are illnesses, mhlambi you've got illnesses ezenza testosterone to be lower, so your interest to have sex can be affected. Ufumanisa uba utata lapha akanamdla, uba ngakwekho okanye ingathi ulibele ngathi uhleli nosister wakhe kanti itestosterone ehlile, okanye usisi walapha akanamdla, iqabane lam alisenamdla to have sex at all, kanti it's because testosterone is low. Besides other mental issues like depression, stresses, and so on, the issue of libido becomes important. And once yenzeke, kubalekile to establish it over what is the cause. Is it biological? Is it physical? Or is it mental? Then you address it.
So that concept of inhibited sexual desire, which can be, like you said, psychological or actually, physical. All right, let's move on to the next stage, Doc.
The next stage is what is called plateau. Plateau is the second leg of the map. That is when people start breathing highly, it means you have achieved erection. Number one passed. Then interest ikhona ninomdla nobabini, ingqondo ikulento, ne-hormones zikulento. Then ku-stage 2 kulapho ke breathing rate izawuqalisa ungathi isantya siyaphakama, umuntu ebeqalise ebreatha mhlawumbi ngo-12 breaths per minute. And then the isantya sizawunyuka mhlawumbi umbambise phaya ku-24. The breathing rate will start increasing. And then the pulse, that is isandi sobetha kwenhliziyo okanye ispeed sobetha kwenhliziyo, uba buqale ngu-75 mhlawumbi ungazibona sowupha ku-120 something, iyabonakala inhliziyo ingathi ngoku usejimini. Then there's an element of sweating, and then of which we encourage communication. If you're communicating, then communication will begin to increase, even tempo. Leyo thetha uba umuntu ebethi kade ethetha ngokucothayo, then kuzawuba khona English mhlambe eninzi. I don't know why there's a lot of English in people who are making love. Kunesilungu bezingekho mhlambe umuntu kayisopa isilungu ziyanqaba, then kuzawuqalisa uvela isilungu esininzi, oh baby and so on. Mntwana, make love to me and so on. Okanye yenza mhlambe indlela into othi yenza uthando kum, mntwana yenza uthando kum. Baby, make love to me. So ezazinto kuyaqalisa imuthi unyuka, i-plateau leyo. That is people actually on the foot of the moment baqala unyuka iqhina. Then the next stage ke ngoku inhloko ziyavela kulaa nto sithi peak okanye i-orgasm. That is when people actually reach the top. It means i-blood pressure ke ngophaya kwi-plateau enyukile. Uba ungake umise kulaa plateau stage, utshekitshe i-BP okanye ubufake i-BP cuff, ujonge i-BP yakho ubathi uzafika i-BP iphakamile, not because you are sick, but because you are getting there. Then xa ufika ku-orgasm, there's a little bit of difference between men and women. Kwi-orgasm, ootata bazawuba nee-stages ezi-2, that is kuzawusondezwa i-semen, and then sithi i-emission leyo usondezwa kwe-semen, then kulandele ejaculation. So it's a two-stage process. Then kubekho ne-contraction zezi muscles lapha kwi-floor between anus and amatyhalarha la, kuzawuba i-contractions ezincinci phayana. And then koomama, they don't abaspemisha kwiterm ethatha usetyenziswa casually kuthiwe ndaspemisha. Oomama abaspemisha as such, but they can have some secretions. They can have some secretions and secrete some fluids, but ejaculate as exquisite as men would do. Then uterus izawumane icontractor, kuzawuba kwi-contractions zesibeleko ziphinde zimane ziyekelela. And then if impempe ile lapha ngaphakathi egushesheni izawuba ngathi yakuba kwi-grip, kuphinde kubekho uyekelela, kubekho i-grip ingathi yaphefumla, kubekho uyekelela, because of the contractions of excitement from the muscles of the pelvic floor, which is why it is important to do Kegel exercises even after birth, so that you keep maintaining that pleasurable experience. Then kubantu ke mhlambe kubonakalayo kunoba kunoblasha, that is the areas ezibonakalayo into yoba ubaleka igazi phantsi kweskin. Uba umhlophe mhlawumbe uzobonakala indawo ezibomvu, but even black people who are actually black in complexion, they do blush, but it won't be as obvious. Then amabele ke ngoku uyawuqaphela amabele kubantu abangosisi azaba ngathi ayema noko abe ngathi ayaphakama nengono ezi. Then that is orgasm in summary. Akho?
Did akhombe utishala?
Yes, azawukhomba kutishala lo bonakala uba hayi noko usisentabeni ngoku sifike lapho besiya. And then ke ngoku when you come to the brain, kulapho ke ngoku kuzawuphuma eza hormones okanye eza ncindi bendithetha ngazo, they start releasing the hormones, oxytocin, endorphins, prolactin. Those are hormones of happiness. And then the euphoria. That is when people can start bangaqalisa ubhodi abapromise into abangenazo because of the situation they are in. Then after that, kuzawulandela ke ngoku i-resolution. I-resolution is the opposite of a plateau. The BP will start dropping, the pulse will start dropping, the sweating will start drying up, and the breathing rate will start coming down, the resolution phase. Then it's when people will start regaining from the dizziness and realizing that even the money and the aeroplanes they were promising, abanazo. Actually, they don't have. Mhlawumbe 10 rand, well, hands up, 1,000 rand. And then all those things, they will now begin to regain and come back to senses. And then kulandele, what is important, and I want to highlight in Doctor, refractory period. After resolution. With refractory period, Dr. Fundi, it's important to understand that the penis is ejaculated, the penis was excited, then it will collapse. Once it collapses, allow it to rest for a minimum of 30 minutes. And the older the man, the longer the refractory period. And it depends on how healthy you can be old, but if you're healthy, a refractory period will remain shorter. But if umdala, uphinde ungabi nampilo, a refractory period can even be longer. Ufumanise utata lapho onele kule nyanga ipheleyo engathi ulibele ngoku. Ngathi
No,
ulibele
but
totally.
what happens if that refractory period followed, premature ejaculation?
That's very.
And the partner, was still warming up.
That's very important, Dr. Fundi. Thank you for highlighting that. Osisi man bacela kuzi-Valentine uba kungenzeka into yoba ubhuti aphuncuke ngamahashe msinyane through i-premature okanye out of excitement, mhlawumbi beni-excited kakhulu kule Valentines, because even excitement is not only into ezimbi zodwa ezinokwenza into yoba utata achame kwangoko. Even excitement can actually lead to that, nezinto ezimbi. Should that happen, and then ufumanisa into yoba ukuyeke phakathi ungekafiki wena kuvuthondaba, then akubalulekanga into yoba uxikixe impempe uba mayikhawuleze iphakame. Now that you know into yoba sihamba ngemephu apha, sikwi-refractory period, allow impempe to rest for at least 30 minutes. Ungathathi itawulo ezishushu okanye uyihlukuhle okanye uyenze into yoba mayikhawuleze iphakame because wena ushiye phakathi okanye uqumbe. Understand the biology, understand the physiology, understand the health. Allow the penis to rest for a minimum of 30 minutes depending on its status somntu. Then emva koko ke ngoku uphinde uzame uyicenga into yoba mayiphakame izokugqibezela and uthetha kamnandi, uyazi into yoba is-sensitive, ingaziphinde ilale ithi 6:30 okanye oko biyonele ngokuya ingaphinde ikuxolise. And also on the side of men, xa uzibonile into yoba uphuncukwe ngamahashi msinyane and umama ekhaya mhlambi ebesizawufika kuvuthondaba, it's important xa apho yohluleke khona impempe ulandelise mhlambi noba kungomnwe okanye kungolwimi to make sure into yoba uyafikelela kwi-destination. Awenzi into ungayazi, uyabona mama ndimphuncule ngexesha elirongo lo sisi, mandisose ndiyomfikelelisa kule ndawo besiya kuyo. Impempe yohlulakele awulozembe, awuxhomekekanga empempeni only. You've got other tools. You've got other tools within you. Make sure into yoba you don't fail because of impempe ikulahle phakathi. It got excited, ejaculate msinyane, then use other tools to make sure into yoba you fulfill the mandate so that ungaskori kancinci. Yimatch le, you are running a marathon.
Yes. All right, Doc. So we've now gone through the full cycle, to the refractory period, waiting for 30 minutes for, another phase of, arousal and all of that, right? Now, okay, so we have dealt with that. Now I want us to focus about tomorrow now, right? Tomorrow, there will be new relationships formed tomorrow. One night stands that will happen tomorrow. But there will also be, relationships that have been there, that need to be enhanced, in this area. What tips do you have, that couples should explore, as they look at pleasuring themselves? And I'm not talking about self-pleasuring. I'm talking about now as couples, whether it is heterosexual or homosexual, relationships, whatever type of relationships. What tips do you have so that tomorrow they have a successful, intimacy, successful, sexual intercourse for those who will, do that, and also those who won't have partners but they've got toys. I had a colleague that I used to work with here in my company. A female colleague, career lady. She had a toy. She even named it Ubafana Bafana. So she gave a name to this toy of hers, Ubafana Bafana. And one day she came back upset. I was getting to, reach the climax and the battery died, on Bafana Bafana, and so she now had to go and buy batteries. And so, it's important that even if you're talking Bafana Bafana, there must be spare batteries, nearby to make sure that should an load shedding happen, the toy, it doesn't take
too big.
Yes.
That's very important. Thank you for the nice question. Let me equip people for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Sithethile nge-importance of senses. Sithethile ngento yoba even the sex part of a relationship doesn't begin with a physical touch, especially with women. Women are emotional beings. Women are relationship orientated. Men may be more physical. Amadoda ayakwazi ubona nje into yoba hey, alo sisi unxibe ijesi ngathi uyandifuna namhlanje, then kuphakame yonke into. But women are not like that. They need a lot of preparation. So it's important to looks zibalulekile. Very important looks inzipho, because sithi kusetyenziswa neminwe. Ungathi uzama usebenzisa iminwe zibe inzipho mhlawumbi zakho zibukhali ziphele zisika endaweni yokwenza loo nto. So look after hygiene becomes critical. Ukushave, it depends on your preference with your partner. It's not about you, but it's also about your spouse. Shaving around impempe and around ikusheshe in neatness kubalulekile, because people go down there with their amount, so hygiene becomes very critical. Smell okanye ubumdaka obunoba around the area can actually be a turn off. Ithi imbotyi beseyiphakamile ivele iwe, ithi impempe beseyiphakamile ivele iwe, because of poor hygiene. And importantly there, when we talk hygiene, people should not insert fingers or insert powders and everything ekushesheni, because they will actually interfere with the normal flora there. Perfume zingangeni ngaphakathi, there's a scent that is coming out of there. So we hygiene, no, we just deal with the vulva, just warm or lukewarm water on its own, okanye with neutral soap and whatever. And then body, into esizinxibayo ngaphantsi is important. Uba udecide ufreewheeler njengalo mfase weredweni, it may make life easier. Amatyala akho abethwe ngumoya. But if awufreewheelanga, it's important nokunganxibi underwear ezikazukileyo okanye ezimdaka okanye ephinda-phindayo, because ayanuka amatyala. It's not women abanukayo. So hygiene is important for both genders. Hygiene is very important. Then indlela onxiba ngayo, because iliso liyabona lithumele isignal engqondweni. So la signal ezathunyelwa ingqondo empempeni okanye kwigusheshe yiyo ezawuchaza into yoba izawuphakama na okanye izawuwa. So you need to do a lot of work to make sure that you remain attractive and relevant to your spouse. It's not a one-day thing. Now that nditshatile ndilitsibile ucingo, then uziyekelele, okanye now that ndinomntana ndincancisa abantwana, and then uziyekelele. It's the time to actually invest more energy and more resources on looks zakho, ukwenza inwele, ukwenza fitness, your physical look and physical appearance. Ungaziyekeleli inteshe ziyawubulala umcimbi, njengoba ndidla ngotsho impempe ziyatshona, the more kudevelop inteshe impempe iyatshona, and also netestosterone iyayincipha. So looks are very important.
So no, I wanted to emphasize that point, Doc, to say we seem to think that it's the looks on the a female side, but even us as males, we need to look in a way that is attractive, continues to be attractive, because the beer belly, is not always an attractive thing. And like you said earlier, as the belly grows, and then I normally call it the balloon effect. Impempe is out, John.
Yeah, John, definitely.
So it's important, but we must also look at our physical health as males. It's not all, because we put a lot of pressure on our partners, be they males or females, and it both sides. You mentioned the issue of hygiene, and you are now mentioning the issue of looks. I mean, sometimes some guys will be angry when a lady tomorrow comes out in some lingerie, that he's never seen, and he thinks, where did you learn this thing? As if she's doing something different and just trying to spice up, the situation. Yes.
That's very crucial. That's very crucial, spicing up. Actually, even men these days, we encourage men to actually be participants.
Yeah.
It's not only about women. You can also you can participate. You can go around with your partner and shopping around. I remember I was traveling from Lesotho 2 or 3 years back. It was early in the morning. I think it was around Valentines. So the commands of endlini ndiphethe ilinjari entsha. And then this lady was looking at me, ekuseni kangakabhuti ngo-9 sivula nje. And I was smiling about it and laughing because I'm so jokey. So according to matter if you are seen on the female section of Ilantuka Evenkile, because you've got a spouse, you are married, you are spicing up. It's not only her duty, it's also our duty. Nabo bane duty to know the size of underwears we're wearing, and also nathi says about what size of underwears and the bras abazinxibayo, because lento sifuna uyibona, we must also invest in it. Nendlela yonuka ke ivumba, you don't have to have expensive perfumes. You don't need that. Otherwise, we'll be too materialistic. Into ebalulekileyo is to smell good. Kwakhona nesepa saseqaba kudala kwakuthiwa yisepa amahasha ndisala zinegama lani sayiboni ngoku yasenza amakhwapha anganuki. Into ebalulekileyo kungathi xa uqhala izinto then kutake ivumba elibi. You don't have to be expensive about it, but just be clean. Pure water and soap. Then ibonus into obozawufaka i-roll on ne-perfume. Then ugcine iinzipho zimfutshane okanye zile nto ifunekayo, and also the hair around private parts neat or well trimmed okanye zikhathiwe and so on. Remain relevant.
Doc, just a question there. You know, there's the issue of you know, what do they call it now? Brazilian waxing and things like those. Do they play a role, you know, Doc, in terms of, you know, the intensity of the pleasure, or is it just an issue of, you know, just the look?
Ngamathamba lawo kufana nento plastic surgery. Ngamathamba lawo abanye abantu bafuna ulifta amabele aphakame, abanye banamabele amancinci bafuna ukwenza amakhulu, abanye amabele amakhulu bafuna ukwenza abancinci bafuna ukwenza i-breast reduction, abanye bafaka amacici uxhakazele phaa ezantsi, ukhala amacici ukhala intsimbi xa ubhizi. So ngamathamba lawo, those zento sithi zii-wants ayizo needs. People should not trouble themselves with i-wants, but of course asizubloka abantu abafuna uwexa nokwenza zonke ezo zinto for their, it's individual, but abantu mabayazi into yoba there are basic things that we can do that are within our reach. Abanye abantu benza nento ekuthiwa zi-vaginal rejuvenation, ucutha igusheshe uba mazibe ncinci zihlale ezingathi zezabantwana abancinci. I mean, zizinto ezo that I say people should just invest on Kegel exercises and also keeping on working on the pelvic floors and so. But if unemali, we're not going to block you from doing ezo zinto. It's up to you. Doc? So, but people should not have headaches over izinto as they want. Let us focus on needs.
Doc, you keep on talking about Kegel exercises. I'm tempted to say, can you briefly just tell people what are you talking about?
Thank you so much, Dr. Fundi. I-Kegel exercise into enokwenziwa ngobhuti nangosisi. Uba ungumntu ongisisi ndingathi pretenda engathi kukho ibhola uzama uyiminca apha ngaphantsi apha kwivagina, kwi-VJJ ufake ibhola phana, then uzama uminca le bhola uba mayingawi, okanye utshiswa ngumchamo. Mhlawumbi xa ufika emnyango etoilet kule ndawo uzawuchama kuyo kusekho umntu apha ngaphakathi, so kufuneka ubambe umchamo phakathi naphakathi into yoba mawungaphumi. Then you just do that, uzame ucontracta ube ngathi uyaminca for a few minutes as long as you can. Then uzawuva kuzawubakho udinwa, then ubone uba iyaphuncuka la muscle. Muscle leyo esithi yi-PC muscle, pubo-coccygeus muscle. You are keeping that muscle tighter. You work on it, ube ngathi uyaminca, hold it tighter, then uzawuhamba uhambe ngoye uminca, I'm doing it. Uyambona umntu how serious apha ebusweni xa ebhizi. You can't be laughing xa usenza laa nto because you are working on that muscle. It's something onoyenza as a relaxation exercise, noba useofisini, noba uphi na. Ayonto uthi unode uyiplan. It's not like a gym, but into onoyenza nje. Awunothi notice wena ngabantu into yoba uyayenza, but it works wonders for you. Uba ngathi uyaminca and you hold for as long as you can. As long as you can, then uphinde uyekelele. You can do 3 contractions, mhlambi times 10, then uthi times 3. Then it means 30 contractions in the morning, 30 contractions during the day, and 30 contractions later on. Just as a relaxation exercise. It's like a breathing exercise where you listen to your breath coming in and coming out for your mental health and relaxation. So a Kegel exercise, you just treat it that way, but it's got lots of benefit. Now,
what are those benefits?
Kubantu abachama kangoko, it can actually relieve the pressure of edge, premature ejaculation, that is one, it can be therapeutic. It's non-medical treatment of premature ejaculation. Then kubantu abangosisi inonceda kulanto sithi si-stress incontinence. Laa nto umuntu ongusisi xa ihleka okanye xa ikhohlela okanye xa kutaka umchamo. Iyanceda i-Kegel exercise because it keeps the pelvic floor muscles tighter. And then it also helps to tighten, because the vagina is a muscle. It helps to tighten the vaginal muscles and the muscles around it, so that ukwazi ugripha kakuhle and ukwazi uhlala ushushu if ungayibeka ngaloo ndlela. So nazo benefits that are key to Kegel exercise. And also mentally, it can actually make your brain relax, because as you focus on tightening that muscle, ingqondo iyaphumla apha ngasentla.
Is there any benefit in terms of the actual sexual intercourse, especially I'm talking females here?
Yes, definitely. There's benefit
to contract that pubococcygeus muscle.
Yes, definitely. Equality orgasm can improve if you do Kegel exercise very well, and you can enjoy orgasm for much longer, and you can stand a chance of having, women can have what we call multiple orgasms. Its chances of having multiple orgasms when you are fit down there, they actually are higher. Usenza Kegel exercises.
Yes. Okay, doc. No.
And also, nenye into ekuthiwa squatting. Squatting is something that is beyond orgasm, where you find that people kubakho into ezitakayo phansi ngathi zolubisanyana nalapha kusisi from the skin glands ezilapha emnyangweni we-VJJ. Then it tendency is that the more fitter you are, the higher the chances of ezo zinto happening, unlike umuntu lazy and someone who's not investing a lot of energy in tightening those muscles. So equality of sex improves, and the control your urine, even nakubantu abane urinary incontinence, it improves. Mhlawumbi ufumene i-birth injury, then ufumana umchamo usena control yawo kakuhle. So there are many benefits from ilanto Kegel exercise.
Lovely, doc. So you are still giving us tips for tomorrow, doc.
Also, hygiene, it's important to keep your mouth clean. Very, very crucial. Kukho into ekuthiwa yi-halitosis. Xa kunobhabha ukutya apha emazinyweni okanye ezintsinini okanye apha emva kwi-adenoids, kula maqhuma lapha ngasemva emqaleni, then kuzawuphuma ivumba elinukayo apha emlonyeni. Uthi mhlambi ubune-chance into yoba uzawuphuzwa, vele kuphume laa mophu unukayo. That is a turn off. And you don't have to spend money on expensive toothpaste, whatever. You just need to keep your mouth clean. That is very crucial and important. Dental hygiene or oral hygiene is important, as well as impumlo. Akho nto inobambi njengoba uthi uzawuphuza umntu then ubomba unezigwatha okanye unemifinya. That can actually so those are crucial things. And it's not about money or materials. That it looks. Le nto uba ukuyibona iqala apha kuwe. Lead yourself. Uthi ndibawela into ubona le nto, then uzayibona apha kum into yoba le nto ndibawela yenziwe kum, yile nto nam ndiyenza. Present yourself, be presentable.
Yes. All right, there's a question here from Tandiwe Luluto Buka. Which food improves vaginal smell and taste? I think as you are answering that question, there is a new thing. Well, it's not a new thing, but I think during this COVID period, it seems to be something that quite a number of ladies are doing, where they are doing some form of cleansing of the female genital area via steaming. People are steaming with umhlonyane apha ngenhla. Now they are also now into steaming of the VJJ and that vulval area. So as we are talking about this vaginal smell and taste, just touch on is it necessary to actually engage in that steaming of the female genital area? Because a lot of people on social media now, there's a lot of people giving anecdotal like stories around how that has benefited them and all of that. But obviously others, they even do other things like douching and all of those kind of things.
Thank you very much. That's a very important subject, Dr. Fundi. One important thing people should understand, if vulva is made of soft tissue, even a clitoris is made of soft tissue. If you are going to steam, isenolidishela ezingozini ezininzi loo nto leyo. That is apha ngaphandle kwivagina usenobuxuka. That is number one. Usenobuxuka due to steaming. Okwesibini, apho idla ngondirritate khona is when people are struggling to have kids, ufumanisa into yoba bane fibroids, and then they are misled into steaming kude izawunyibilikisa ii-fibroids. I mean, singabantu be-science. Science is very factual and objective. Ayikho into yoba ii-fibroids izawunyibilikiswa yinto yokustima. So the sooner you attend to umcimbi we-fibroids, if mhlawumbi zibloke indlela ebantwaneni, the better. Ungathi sokumenopause ube khona uzophakamela umcimbi we-fibroids uzilibazise zento sithi zii-alternative remedies. Of course, we're not trained on alternative remedies, but we can tell you scientifically they do not make a lot of sense as abantu abatrainwe kwi-medicine. Instead, they present a lot of danger. And thirdly, ivagina sithe inentsholongwane ezipha kuyo ekuthiwa yi-normal flora. Anything ezawudisturba i-pH, that is ubu-acid nobu-alkaline phaya ngaphakathi kwivagina, ine-potential of destroying the normal flora. And once you destroy the normal flora through uyi-interferisha ne-pH, then kuza-accumulata laa nto imhlophe okanye ngathi ngamasi okanye ngathi inqaka sithi yi-candida. Then uzawurhazelwa apha ngaphantsi kuphume i-discharge emhlophe because wena ezaa ntsholongwane zicoca phayana uzidestroyile ngenxa yoba i-pH ayikho friendly kuzo. Kukho into ekuthiwa zii-lactobacillus phana efuneka ziphana zicoce. So xa uzibuxula usenozidestroya then uphele uhlutshwa yi-candida.
So you are saying, Doc, it's not a good idea to do this steaming because the temperature of the steam can actually cause, burns of those soft tissues of the female genital area, but it may also affect the normal, the friendly germs that are supposed to be within, that area, which are there to protect you against other, germs. So you are not for that idea.
Not at all. And also, we vaginal douching. In fact, even you can ask any gynae. I'm a GP, I'm not a gynae. You can ask any gynae. Vaginal douching is not recommended at all. But abantu babuza into yoba zifuna ne-marketing ezinto zofakwa ngaphansi if they are not meant for consumption. If you've done marketing, which is something I've done also, if you do market analysis, ujonga into yoba ii-consumers zixakeke yintoni apha engqondweni, zifuna ntoni. Then xa wenza i-market analysis, you provide what the market needs. What the market needs according to marketing principles, not according to uba iyasebenza nale nto okanye iyasebenza okanye yinto eyimfuneko na. So i-market will provide le nto abantu bakhala ngayo. That is why njengoba sixake i-COVID nje wonke umntu ene-solution ye-COVID because abantu baxakekile. So i-market provides njengoba sixake nento yoba i-HIV izanyanga ngantoni, everyone is coming up with the concept into yoba i-HIV izinganyanga ngolu hlobo. So once i-market okanye i-consumers zixakeke ezingqondweni zifuna i-solution yaloo nto, so the market tries to provide anything becomes a solution. And abantu xa bafumana be-standard benida i-solution, then everything becomes perfect.
Yes.
So as the products are not necessarily meant for into yoba zizawusebenza, but they are meant to serve your mind.
Yeah. All
so
right, Doc.
I recommend into douching because it interferes with the normal flora. Once you usebenzisa i-douch, then a week or two later uzawukhala ngento yoba ndine-discharge emhlophe ndiyarhawuzelwa because ugutyule iintsholongwane eziphana befamba uziyeke ziphana.
Yes. More tips, Doc. We've got 10 minutes to go.
More tips that I can say. Kukhona abantu, of course, that are going to struggle to have erections. Kukhona abantu.
Sorry, Doc. We didn't answer that question. Which food improves vaginal smell and taste? Are there foods that actually can lead to bad smell, in that area, or are there foods that can then improve the smell in that, sensitive area?
Yeah, kukhona ukutya unokwenza ivumba. Ivagina enevumba is got a natural smell. that we should accept and we should actually embrace it. That is why people should not trouble themselves. Perfumes and whatever. Actually, even nasezinkomeni kukho ivumba eliphuma phaya lokutsala inkunzi. Scent, there's a scent that is coming out of there. So let us not trouble ourselves ngozama ukucima elavumba. But ke ngokube khona izifo ezinobangela into yoba elavumba litshintshe from what is expected. Then liphele ke ngolicima nezompempe. In terms of ukutya, into ebalulekile kukutya more veggies neziqhamo sinciphise istarch. Kukhona ne-yogurt ke njengoba ndisithi kukhona intsholongwane phaya esithi zii-lactobacillus. I-yogurt, indlela ezivundiswa ngayo i-yogurt kusetyenziswa ezaa ntsholongwane kuthiwa zii-lactobacillus. So i-yogurt ezithile ziyakwazi usolva laa mcimbi we-normal flora nokurestora umcimbi we-normality phaa down there. Ungadanga wayifaka phaa ngaphantsi i-yogurt ngoyitya nje. So izidlo zinako uba nechaphaza lokulungisa umonakalo esiwenzileyo. Naxa mhlawumbi ubuke watya i-antibiotics zinako ugutyula not only intsholongwane ezibuzilwa, not only the bad bugs, but also the bugs that need to be there. So that is why kuba khona i-vitamins onozitya for restore in normal flora.
Yes.
So diet is very important. Ivumba kukho into ekuthiwa zigarlic ezinokwenza mhlawumbi umlomo unuke, namatswele anokwenza umlomo unuke. But in terms of benefits, vitamin C right for ukwakha structures, tissues and so on. But let us invest more on iziqhamo ne-veggies nokusela amanzi. Sizame ukuncipha kukutya already processed, ukutya okumfaxangiweyo. Sizame ukuncipha kwezo izinto.
So you're basically saying increase intake of fruits, increase intake of veggies, drinking lots of water. Those will contribute towards helping your body and that particular area to cleanse itself, rather than going to get expensive things that are not always proven to achieve that purpose.
And then ke ngoku size kwi-challenges, you can still have challenges. Ufumanisa uba umntu wakho impempe ayiphakami okanye umntu wakho uchama kwangoko. Once yenzeke ezo zinto repeatedly, talk about them openly and nicely so that izofumana i-medical attention. Singa-athekani ngezo zinto. And there's a problem common kubantu ababhinqileyo sithi HSDD, hypoactive sexual desire disorder. Ufumanisa uba lo sisi akanawo umdla wesondo okanye akho nto ithithiki kuye, akanawo nengcingane yesondo, akali-enjoyi okanye akafikeleli ku-orgasm okanye akafuni nento ezamsondeza kwinto enesondo for psychological reasons okanye for medical reasons. Xa kukhona situations ezinjalo, let us support each other and make sure into yoba we seek therapy. Akhona amaqhekeza afumanekayo, zikhona inaliti, but kufuneka umuntu aqala atshekitshe kujonga into yoba umonakalo uphi na. And inakuwa impempe ityeli mhlambe li-1 namabini, it doesn't mean umuntu une-erectile dysfunction unless it persists. Nento chama kwangoko, i-premature ejaculation inako ukwenzeka 1 or 2 times for a reason that is explicable. But once yenzeka amatyeli ngamatyeli, then it needs attention. Once umuntu astruggle to obtain or sustain an erection repeatedly, that means mangatshekitshe iswekile, atshekitshe pressure, atshekitshe cholesterol, atshekitshe stress, atshekitshe depression, zonke ezo neepilisi ezozityayo, khona amachiza eniwatyayo ane-side effects ezinobangela into yoba umcimbi ungahambi kakuhle, then i-core business will suffer.
Yes. All right. So
into ebalulekileyo kusapotana.
Yes, Doc. As we wrap up now, so you told us about hygiene. You told us about the fact that we must dress in a way that is attractive to our spouses. But in terms of the mood, when we are about to engage in that important activity tomorrow, what ideas, to create the right mood so that everything goes as best as it can?
I would say let us invest more on intimacy. Intimacy means bonding, the spiritual connection. The more you do things together, the better. Activities, uba nizavuka nibaleke mhlambi kusasa, okanye navuka nidlala skipping rope, okanye navuka niyokwenza shopping. Try to do things together, in mood, talk, and so on, so that if there's any little bit of tension, kuqala ease the tension, prepare the ground, and then kuzothi kufika elaa xesha ube umhlaba sele usihla. Awuzuvela uncothuke ngo-5 kube khona ucimba hayi imodi mayitshintshe or iclimate mayibonakala uba ndizawukrweca. Qalisa nje during the peak of the, because we are talking love and intimacy. Then sex is about bonus by ekugqibeleni. So prepare the way. You don't have to engage in expensive things because people have lost salaries, people have lost jobs, but love must actually stand out. We need to bond spiritually. We need to bond in terms of activities, do things together to increase bonding, connection, romance. Then siyazi ke ngoku khona i-COVID. Xhomeka ukuba nisebenza kanjani esingosulelani nge-COVID, because ube uyaqaphela abantu abaninzi, if the husband gets COVID, the wife will, or the partner will definitely get COVID, and vice versa. So we need to make sure that we protect each other.
Are there any particular positions, Doc, that, I mean, I attended another session yesterday with Dr. T, where, people were asking questions around, how, do you have to be using a mask? What happens now, when you are going through those stages you spoke about, and are there particular positions that maybe mitigate, that risk of let's say, you are partners that are not staying within the same, house. So just, are there any tips in line with COVID so that people can still enjoy themselves without necessarily, infecting each other?
Exposing each other. Thank you so much. That's a very nice way to wrap up, noting that we are dealing with COVID and it's a reality. If you were to do sex wearing a mask, that would be highly risky. That would be highly risky of suffocation, noting about their stages. Then if you were to reach that stage, when you mask, mhlambi, ungaphela collapse umpela ucimba okube excited kanti sovalwe imask. So it's very dangerous and reckless. Let us not wear mask during a sexual activity. But if asihlali kunye, umcimbi we-COVID uthi sex is as safe as yourself. You are as safe as yourself. Ubuza wenza sex eyona nto safe kuba uyenze ngoku usewedwa. The moment you involve another person, then risk has started. So it means une potential of getting an infection. So the other person une responsibility to make sure ndoba kule traveling ebeyenza okanye kulo mphumo mngena bewenza uyasanitizer, unxiba imask endleleni to make sure ndoba i-chances of getting COVID zi-minimal. If mhlambi ngumuntu obekwi-endemic area kwindawo eseninzi kakhulu i-COVID kuyo, it's always better to give a day or two ujonga lento kuthiwa yi-symptoms uba zizovela na if ixesha likhona. But in terms of safety, I would advise against kissing, especially mouth-to-mouth kissing. Mhlambi senze i-body kissing, because as much as we're doctors most, xa siqhoshana even nezinto zi-sterile, xa uvela ngasemva noko there is a little bit of safety there. I-kissing kwezinye indawo, but mouth-to-mouth because nawutshintshana ngesaliva and also nawuphefumlelana le ntsholongwane iyagcwala ezimpumlweni, so that would be highly risky. So you need to make an adjustment there. Abanye bathi hayi ndizawuba onjani if andizukisswa and whatever, but you don't have to kiss the mouth or the nose. Face-to-face contact, let us try to minimize or avoid that. There are nice guidelines from a New York Maybe
you can
City Health Association.
Talk, as we wrap up.
A position that would be a little bit bad. In fact, if visual sex okokuqala, having sex telephonically okanye through a text, if video sex would be safer because akontsholongwane izawutsiba from one screen to the other. So omnye senoba kwenye room okanye omnye kude, you can have sex nge-video. You can have sex using ezinto sithi wearing condoms. Unxiba condoms to make sure that there's no exchange or minimal exchange of fluids. Kukhona into sithi dental dams ezinxitywa apha emlonyeni for people who engage in oral sex, which is very common. So if when the oral sex you end up wearing a dental dam, you are much safer in terms of COVID, especially nenza le nto kuthiwa risk assessment as a couple. Intoba umngcipheko wethu ungakanani na, so that we minimize and close gaps at all times. And also ukuhlamba becomes even more critical. Ukuhlamba before and after a session, so that uba kukhona intsholongwane ethe yawela ngokuhlamba unciphisa chances zentoba mhlambi ide ibe iyancamathela.
Yes, Doc. So
nomcimbi we-toys ke uba umuntu usebenzisa i-toy is much safer because i-toy awuzoyisharisha namntu. I-toy uzayisebenzisa kuwe, uyihlambe uphinde uyibeka. So if une-toy yakho, then you may stick to your toy. And actually, there are studies that show that umcimbi we-toys, uthengo lwe-toys, i-business ye-toys was actually booming during the COVID, the peak ye-COVID. Abantu bazidingele kakuhle i-toys.
You know, the interprovincial travel and other forms of travel, you know, were limited. So people had to find ways to sort themselves out.
Yeah, so it-toys are actually safer because it-toy usebenza ngokwakho and uphinde uyixhoma uyibeke ngokwakho endaweni.
Yes. Doc, I think we've reached the end of our chat, man. What are your last remarks, you know, or encouragement for people as they look to be creative tomorrow?
The one thing I need to emphasize is the issue of safety. Female condoms are there, male condoms are there, dental dams are there, and also masiyazi into yoba anatomically, people would engage in what is called anal sex. They must know that anus cracks easily, and anus needs preparation. You cannot just surprise someone with anal sex. They need to prepare. There's a lot of feces there that needs to be cleared out through enemas, and then condoms and lubricants become extra important to avoid the cracks and HIV transmission. Also, the issue of circumcision enforces and reduces the issue of transmission HIV. Also, iyancedisa nakumcimbi we-hygiene. Kulula uklina i-penis xa circumcised than not, but kulula no retractor ke ijwabi early and then clean it. Kholanda okuthiwa smegma, which can lead to smell and infections. Cleanliness becomes important. That is where I would actually leave it and wish people good orgasms tomorrow and more investment on love and intimacy. Then sex will be an automatic bonus and everyone is likely to reach orgasm. Knowing that women are wired differently from men. We need to work on their minds, then their bodies will follow. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doc. You know, we could talk until tomorrow, but at the end of the day, you know, we can't finish this topic in one day. We will continue to have, you know, sessions together, but for today, thank you very much. You've given us almost 2 hours of your valuable time. It's time for you now to go and prepare, madam. You know,
that I will do. That I will do, definitely. The nice thing about talking about this thing is that I'm not only talking to my audience, I'm also talking to myself.
Yes.
So it's time that I go and practice what I'm preaching, and she's waiting eagerly for me.
Good luck. May you not have any performance anxiety, Doc. But anyway, thank you.
If that happens, I work with these things. I've studied these things. I'll definitely know remedies are within my reach.
Yes.
So I'll then this manzin.
But thank you very much to everybody who joined us. It was a long chat. We started a bit late, about 15 minutes late, but I'm glad that we had a successful, you know, conversation. I hope in this conversation about stuff that is normally taboo, you were able to pick up something that could make you to be much more creative, you know, tomorrow, if you are one of those people who actually observe the day. But even if you are not observing the day, like Doc said at the beginning, love is something that should be expressed 365 days a year. So I also want to wish you all the best in your endeavors tomorrow. May everybody have a smile come Monday morning, because we all did our part to make everything successful. Thank you very much. We will hope to have a chat with you again, Doc, in the near future. But for today, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Fundi, and all the best to you and your channel, and continue doing the hard work, and we appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you.
And also make sure Make sure you don't fail me tonight. All the lessons.
Oh, I've taken all the lessons. It's now for implementation. Okay, thank you
Thank you
very
so much.
Sure. Bye.
Bye.